What's up? This is going to be not a guitar lesson, but it will be a lesson. I have gotten 1 billion questions and they've all been generally the same thing. How do I make my own guitar videos like you do? How do I record myself and sync up the video and have it come out looking like something that resembles a piece of coherent thought? And I would love to show you my setup and hopefully you can learn from it. I'm not saying this is exactly how you have to go about doing it, but I have been doing this for many years, so I'm pretty sure that these are the basics that you'll need to cover, and I'll let you know what kind of gear that I use if you want to kind of start at that and then look into products that are along the same lines. Let's take a look at my video setup first. So here is the chain of events as far as shooting high quality video is concerned. We need lights. I know it's something that you may not have thought of, but a lot of cameras, whether they're great cameras or not so great cameras, the more light you have and the more even light you have, the better your video quality will be. So there are two kinds of lights that I recommend, either softbox lights, which is what I have. I use Limo Studio 700 watt softbox lights and they work great. Or umbrella lights, which are generally the same thing, they're just shaped like umbrellas. So to give you some context, this is what I look like with the lights, and this is what I look like without light. And there is something kind of mysteriously cool about this shot, but for videos that you would be making with guitar playing and other things that require a lot of detail for the viewer to see, more light means more quality. The next thing, obviously, is the camera. You can use the iPhone camera if you have an iPhone, or an Android phone also has a comparable camera to the iPhone. The cameras in phones now are amazing, and really that's all you need if you're just starting out. If you want to get to the next level, the Canon DSLR cameras is what I recommend. They are pretty much the industry standard for most YouTube creators. I have a Canon 70D, which is kind of like the middle tier of the Canon product line, but there are lower camera options in that product line as well. The main thing you want to do is get one with autofocus, because that allows the camera to do the focusing work for you, so you can be a one-man show and just press record on your camera, point it at yourself, and it will autofocus intuitively based on what's going on in the camera shot. Next, also something that may be overlooked by you if you've never done this before, a microphone is key for picking up your voice. And this is something I kind of didn't have in some of my earlier YouTube videos. I usually use this technique when I'm working on different chord progressions for songwriting, but you'll notice all my recent videos I use a microphone. I just use a lavalier mic. It is simple and it plugs directly into my camera, so I don't have to bother with any audio syncing after the fact. I can just use the camera shot and the audio from the camera is picked up by that lavalier mic. Other YouTubers that I've seen, which I may end up doing because it sounds great, they use shotgun mics. And that's basically a mic that's plugged into your computer, which I'll go over later on in this video, but it's just a very high quality mic and you don't have to wear anything, obviously. It just picks up the audio in a way that is very pro. I use a Sony ECMC S3 clip-on omnidirectional stereo lavalier mic. So this is what I sound like with my lavalier mic on. And this is without my lavalier mic on. Now, I'm in a pretty quiet room right now, so it might not sound too bad, but if you want to be far away from the camera, it just gets a little bit worse. The audio quality is really important to convey that high quality product that you have to offer. So use a mic. Finally, you're going to need video software, and I included the computer. Obviously, the video software goes on the computer. I'll get to the computer in a second, but video software to edit the film is crucial. I have on here the ones that I have experience with, which is Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro. There's also iMovie that I've actually not really used for any serious editing, but I'm sure that would work as well. One thing I forgot to include here with the camera is the tripod. So you will need a tripod to put your camera on and be able to swivel it. You want something that is pretty sturdy so it doesn't knock your camera over by just pounding your feet or something like that. So spend maybe $40 or $50 on a nice sturdy tripod and you'll be all set for a very long time. Another vital piece to this puzzle is you need something for the footage on your camera to be captured onto, and that is called an SD card. So after you're done recording on your camera, you eject that SD card and you put it in your computer to load that footage from the card onto your computer into the film editing software. So this is one of my SD cards. This is my backup. As you can see, it's a little worn out. It's got a good size. 32 gigabytes is good for what I do, but most importantly, it's got that 95 megabytes per second write speed, which means the camera will not drop any frames most likely as it's recording. If you ever see videos that have kind of choppy footage or it looks like the video's buffering a little bit, that means that frames are dropping. So with a 95 megabytes per second or above write speed, you can almost guarantee that's not going to happen, which is a good thing. Moving on to the audio side of things, you need a guitar. Or whatever your instrument is, bass, anything that can be plugged in and amplified. Then you're gonna go into your cable and whatever pedals that you want. I use Monster cables, and I use those because of the lifetime guarantee. I know there are other companies that have lifetime guarantees, but I like the Monster lifetime guarantee because pretty much every music store sells them and can honor that. Then we're going to go into an audio interface. So this is essentially what you plug your guitar into that takes your guitar signal and turns it into waveforms in your computer. So the one that I use, if you are looking for something inexpensive, I don't need anything fancy, I just need something that gets the job done. And it's a PreSonus Audio Box 22 VSL, and if you went on Amazon and checked it out, there's a lot of recommended similar options that you can kind of weigh the pros and cons. This one has 2 inputs, that's all I need, but there are ones that have more inputs if you need something like that for drums, say, or trying to mic up a whole band at once. That is available to you as well in other interfaces. From the interface, you will plug into your computer, which uses a USB connection or FireWire, Thunderbolt, whatever. The computer that I use is an iMac. I've never really used Windows at all in my life for any type of recording, so I can't speak to the PCs. I've just always been a Mac user and I've never had any complaints or problems. Finally, on your computer, like I mentioned, the video software is obviously on your computer, as well as the DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. So it's essentially, if you go to a music studio and you see that big board with all the knobs and faders on it, the digital version of that is what these programs are doing. And there's a lot of different ones. The ones that I've used are GarageBand, Logic Pro, and Pro Tools. The one I use pretty much exclusively is Logic Pro, which has all the built-in amp emulators that I use in a lot of my videos. You guys are asking me, how do you get that sick tone, bro? And really, it's just using Logic Pro amp emulators and trying to play relatively in tune. Now, as far as the actual creation process goes, that's kind of a whole new video that I would make. But to give you the lowdown, if you have all these things that I recommended you get, you want to learn how to use the Logic Pro software, which there are way better channels who go over that stuff in depth that you can YouTube, as well as learn how to use Final Cut. Again, search on YouTube for things to get tutorials on various things. All I do with my videos, though, is a little bit of color grading and sharpening of the image quality, which are very, very basic video editing tips that I can give to you. As far as actually creating the videos, all you do is click record on your camera, click record on your digital audio workstation, Logic Pro, GarageBand, etc., and those two things will produce files, a sound file in your computer on the digital audio workstation and a video file on your camera. And from there, you get the files into your video editing software and sync up the two. you can strum a guitar chord, and that will be your kind of waveform point that you match up with the camera audio versus the real audio. And from there, everything is synced up together and you edit the two simultaneously. So I know that might sound complicated if you've never done it before, but I'm sure if you're watching my channel, you learn by doing. That's how I learn. So you kind of just gotta throw yourself out there. If you're passionate about it, you will become very good in no time at all. It's just a matter of repetition, and I'm sure you'll get it down. So there you have it. That's my tutorial, if you will, on how I create my videos. I hope it was very helpful for you. If you have been wondering about creating your own content, if you've been inspired by other YouTubers, maybe me, then do it. It is so much fun. I highly recommend it. Cheers.